Hi, so thanks everyone for joining today. So I'm Callian, and in this lightning talk, I want to help you see that integrating security into your software development process doesn't have to be overwhelming. So the title of this talk is Shift Left Without Losing Your Mind. Practical DevSecOps for busy teams. Let's get started. Let's be honest, teams are busy. From sprint planning, daily stand-ups, development, code review, QA testing, and bug fixes. Security often takes a back seat. Asking teams to do security can sound like an additional burden, but it doesn't have to be. There are ways to work with the current flow rather than against it. That's where DevSecOps comes in. So DevSecOps is all about integrating security into every phase of the software development lifecycle, from planning, coding, building, and testing, all the way through to deployment and monitoring. You don't have to do everything at once. Start with lightweight steps that give you the most impact with the least disability. Let's start in the planning phase. A great first step is doing lightweight threat modeling. Just ask what could go wrong. That's it. No fancy tools required. Just start with a simple user story or feature and ask what could go wrong and have a look at the potential threats. Let's have a look at what threat modeling is. So threat modeling is analyzing representations of a system to highlight concerns about security and privacy characteristics. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. So it's best to be proactive rather than reactive. So there are a couple of threat modeling frameworks such as Stride, Pasta, Dread, and London. So a good starting point is Stride, which is basically the framework developed by Microsoft. It allows the teams to think of potential threats, which is basically categorized in 6 types, which is spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privileges. So basically, let's have a look at a simple user story. So as a user, I want to upload my picture so that it displays on my account. So now, using the Stride framework, let's think about potential threats. So could an attacker upload a file pretending to be another user? That's spoofing. Could an attacker modify the file, add malicious payloads, or alter the file type? That's tampering. Could an attacker upload an extremely large file, which could lead to denial of service? So for each threat, think of the simplest mitigation. So in order to mitigate spoofing, validate the auth and session IDs before the file is being uploaded. To mitigate tampering, validate the image MIME as well as the file type. And to prevent denial of service, enforce size limits before uploading the file. So another great resource is OWASP ASVS, the Application Security Verification Standard. So this reference can actually be used within teams to identify which controls fits best within the team and for the application. So it's good to be used as a reference. So version 5 of the OWASP ASVS was released the end of May. So the key is to start small. Focus on one feature at a time, build awareness within your team, and security will automatically become a habit. So let's move on to the development phase. Developers often repeat certain tasks. So it's important to create a reusable library which contain secure coding practices so that the developers can reuse this. So a couple of examples is authentication, authorization, input validation, output encoding, and session management, just to name a few. So what developers can also do is they can make use of IDE plugins to provide secure feedback in real time as they are basically developing code. So there are tools such as Sneak and SonarLearn that basically provides them feedback and help identify issues as they write code. Let's have a look at the build phase and what the team can do. So in the build phase, so you can basically add a security stage into your CI/CD pipeline to detect critical issues such as hard-coded secrets, making use of secret scanning tools, and also making use of dependency scanning tools, also known as software composition analysis tools. So what this will basically do is it will identify vulnerability in third-party dependencies or libraries. So while doing these type of scans in your pipeline, it's important not to break the build immediately. Start with visibility. Let the teams see the findings, and then you can slowly tighten or add enforcements. So there are code repositories such as GitLab and GitHub that already have these scanning features that I just mentioned. They're already built into some of the code repositories, which can basically just be enabled for scanning within your CI/CD pipeline. Let's move on to the testing phase. So in the testing phase, teams can introduce lightweight dynamic scanning, also known as DAST scans. So what it does is it basically analyzes your application, a running application, to identify vulnerabilities. So there are tools like Zap, which offers baseline scans, which is brilliant to run on a daily basis because it's fast and passive, which means that it doesn't perform attacks against your application. What can also be done is teams can use this as a nightly schedule and basically evaluate the findings the following day. As they step in the morning, they can have a look at the findings that basically the scan provided. They can go through the report. Having a look at the release stage. So in the release stage, what teams can do is make use of a simple checklist. So the checklist can either be added in your pull request template or in your release ticket, where you can just ask a couple of questions, such as, did we check that the auth as well as the session tokens were validated, that the image file as well as the MIME type, we did validation on those types, and that we have no system information that were exposed, as well as the error messages that we have. It's user-friendly so that it doesn't expose any system information, and also that there's no hard-coded secrets within our source code. So onto the operating and monitoring phase. So there's a couple of checks that can be done in this phase as well. So some of them, once your application have been deployed, make sure that you enable centralized login, set up monitoring and alerting, implement health checks, monitor for security events, such as when your permissions change or when the roles change. And another check you can do is apply security patching. So just as a summary, what we can do is let's quickly just have a look at what we covered today. So in the planning phase, do lightweight threat modeling. In the coding phase, implement reusable, secure coding templates. In the build phase, add a secure secret scanning as well as dependency scanning to your pipeline. In the testing phase, introduce dynamic scanning. In the release, add a security checklist. And in the operate and monitoring, set up logging, alerts, and apply security patches. So just a reminder that just the right check in the right phase can make a change. So thank you once again for joining me today. And I'm Callian Berends. Thank you.